2007, Netflix was printing money, $100 million in profit, crushing Blockbuster, dominating the DVD by mail business that they invented. And then Reed Hastings did something that looked absolutely insane. He pointed a loaded gun at his own cash cow and he pulled the trigger. He launched streaming, a service with barely any content, terrible video quality, limited device support, and he was cannibalizing his own golden goose. Every analyst said he was crazy, but he wasn't crazy. He was a stagnation assassin before the term ever existed. Hello, I'm Todd Hagopian, the original Stagnation Assassin. Today, we are opening the vault on Netflix 2007 pivot from DVD by mail to streaming. Arguably the most important business transition of the 21st century, to see if it was a strategic slaughter or a stagnation suicide. Spoiler, this one is a masterclass. Netflix pre-move stagnation score was about 3 out of 10 for corporate cancer. Here's the thing. Netflix was healthy. That's what makes this case so legendary. They weren't dying, they were bleeding. Sorry, they weren't bleeding. Revenue was climbing, subscribers were growing, Blockbuster was collapsing. By every traditional metric, Netflix should have been in preservation mode and growth mode. But Reed Hastings understood something that 99% of CEOs don't. The most dangerous form of stagnation is invisible stagnation, the kind that hides behind good quarterly numbers while the ground shifts beneath your feet. Netflix DVD business was a melting ice cube. It was profitable today, but terminal tomorrow. And Hastings refused to wait for the funeral. Let's look at the tactical audit. This is a 5-framework business case, so buckle up. First, Hastings assessed the landscape with brutal clarity. Broadband penetration was accelerating. YouTube had just been bought by Google for $1.65 billion, proving consumer appetite for online video. He saw the data and he didn't flinch. Instead, he attacked, launching streaming as an add-on to the DVD subscriptions, not a replacement. Then he advanced, systematically shifting investment, content, and strategy all towards streaming over the next 5 years. Then he used the 70% rule. Netflix streaming service in 2007 was terrible. 1,000 titles, standard definition, limited to PCs. It was maybe 40% ready, but by any reasonable standard. But Hastings launched anyway because he understood that controlling the beachhead matters more than having the perfect product. And while Blockbuster was debating whether to build a website, Netflix was already iterating in the market. Then we go to grandiose goal setting. Hastings didn't say, let's add a streaming option. He said, I'm paraphrasing here. He said, we will be the world's leading internet entertainment service. And in 2007, when most Americans still had DVD players in their living room, that's not optimism. That's hypomanic level ambition. That's seeing the end game when everybody else is playing checkers. So let's talk about the 80-20 matrix. Netflix identified that 20% of their content drove 80% of their viewing. This insight became the foundation of their streaming content strategy, and eventually it led to original content production that they do today. They didn't try to replicate the entire Blockbuster catalog online. They focused on the vital few titles that drove engagement, and they built from there. But let's look at the hindsight homicide. Even masterclasses have mistakes. Netflix homicide came in 2011 with the Quickster debacle. Hastings tried to split DVD and streaming into separate companies, separate brands, separate billing, and the backlash was immediate and the backlash was savage. They lost 800,000 subscribers in a single quarter. Stock dropped 77%. The lesson? Even stagnation assassins can get drunk on their own success. Hastings was so far ahead in his thinking that he forgot to bring the customer along with him. Transformation speed without customer communication is just corporate arrogance with a business plan. He recovered, but the scar was permanent. The verdict: I'm giving Netflix DVD to streaming pivot 5 out of 5 kills, which we do not do very often. Yes, full marks. This is the gold standard, the legendary execution. Netflix destroyed its own business model before a competitor could do it for them. They absorbed short-term pain for generational dominance. Today, Netflix is worth over $250 billion and has fundamentally changed how humanity consumes entertainment. Reed Hastings didn't just kill stagnation, he made it look like a crime scene. This is strategic slaughter at its absolute finest. That's the Autopsy Assassins. Netflix wrote the playbook on self disruption. If you want to learn how to apply these same frameworks to your business before someone else disrupts it for you, head to tatagopian.com. Grab the unfair advantage and visit stagnationassassins.com for the world's largest stagnation database. And always remember, continue to declare war on stagnation with us here every week.